Morris, and I'll be serving as chairman today. Joining me on the panel is Mr. George Azimian and Mr. Glenn Fowler. And we'll start off with, number one. We have a new member. We're excited about that. And very excited. And we still have one vacancy, but we would love to hear from our new member. He will not be serving. He's an alternate, but he will not be serving on the panel today, with this being his first meeting. So Randy Tellelian, I apologize. I'm close. All right. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I have a real estate and finance background, primarily born and raised in Visalia, and I think that's enough.
That's excellent.
I'll listen more than talk.
All right, perfect. We are excited to have you. So thank you for joining the panel. Vacancy update. We do have one vacancy still to fill, and that would be Matthew Graham's spot, who had to resign due to a conflict of interest. And do we have an update on that?
Yes, I have a person interested. It's an MA. She's an MAI. I will get you the information. I thought she had already applied, but I'll double check it.
Made as instructed.
Made as instructed. Master's in appraisal. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Well, perfect. We will look forward to hearing about that, and hopefully she'll get her application turned in.
Yes.
And we can get that approved.
I will get on her case.
That'd be great, Glenn. Thank you. So, board comments. Any comments? I skipped it around a little bit, but any comments from the board?
No.
George? No? Staff? Assessor's office?
We have a substitute hearing advocate for the litigation team this morning. The regular team
Right. We've seen you a few times, I think, Chris. Yeah?
Used to be here, yeah.
Yeah. Well, great to have you. Any other comments? Okay. Agenda item number 2 is reorganization of the board, selection of the chairman and vice chair for the upcoming 2018-2019 fiscal year. Yeah, I apologize. I wasn't able to make the meeting, and we were only going to have one board member here. So I'm open. If anybody wants to take the chairmanship, I'm happy to continue to do it.
I don't particularly want to do it. I'd rather see you do it.
I was chairman before, and the board gave me a nice plaque for the chairman's position. I think I was on for maybe about 7 or 8 years. The issue is somebody that is very alert to what's going on. The chairman's position, basically, you got to be right on top of where your game is. And sometimes I get so busy that I get a little bit of a cloud. And for that reason, I appreciate you taking the chairmanship. And I want to thank you because you're an excellent member and chairman.
Thank you. All right. So,
What's that?
Does someone want to propose a slate for the 2 offices? We have a chair and a vice chair.
Well, I'll be vice chair. I would volunteer for that.
okay.
And I'm assuming that out of our 10 meetings, you won't be gone too long.
No, I won't. I had the one conflict, so no, I plan on being at all of our meetings.
Good.
So,
Anybody want to make a motion?
yep. We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. That I will serve as chairman
And the chairman, yes.
and George will.
And I'm going to be vice chair. I second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. So I will serve next year as well. Agenda item number 3, rescheduling a subsequent postponement request stipulated by both parties. And there is a few items in here in our packet regarding the postponement. Assessor's office, do we want to briefly discuss those? It's not a stipulation at this point. It's just more of a postponement. Is that just more for informational purposes that we have this agreement between the two parties? Nothing that we need to.
We figured out that this one didn't quite fit within the technical rules of what you have delegated to the clerk to be able to approve.
Okay.
So
Gotcha, okay.
What case are we
Exceeded
talking?
our authority under the local rules
Oh,
on a couple of
In the
Oscar
case-
Meyer,
Oscar Mayer, that's what I wanted to confirm. Okay.
and there was a California Dairies.
California Dairies looks like a very nice case to listen to. That should be complicated.
Yeah, and it's been a little while, so I can't remember the exact issue on, why we didn't have the authority under the local rules to do it, and we'll go back and ask you to further delegation on it. There's a little.
Yeah, so, these will, there's a stipulation in there that, easy postponement, there was already a first postponement as a matter of right on these, and so it's going to read that, this postponement will not be using the assessor's first postponement.
Okay,
Okay? The 2-year rule?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
okay.
And the applicant has waived the 2 years.
Okay. So,
We're asking them to ratify the stipulations.
okay, do we need to state each case separately, or can we just do it as a blanket?
That's up to the clerk. Can we just do it as a blanket and then you can, carry it out in the minutes?
Yeah, I can review, what they are. It's, Oscar Meyer Food Corporation, applications 2017-00066, 2017-00067, 2017-00069, California Dairies, Inc. Application number 2017-00130, and California Milk Producers, application 2017-00131.
No,
Taxpayers have agreed with the assessor that best interest of both parties to postpone these matters, and this will not be using the assessor's first right on postponement.
okay.
You don't have specific dates. You're going to assign the dates as when they're going to come up?
Now, as far as, I can speak to the Oscar Mayer, it's actually the Kraft plant. Remember, they came here to request it. They've since changed tax reps. So now we're
Ah.
kind of starting all over again with the new tax rep. So they're talking about, I believe, late spring, but we really haven't gotten that far yet
Okay.
with that one. Tom can speak to the,
Is this tax rep going to be local, or are we coming out at San Diego again?
I don't,
Mission Viejo.
yeah, out of the area. He's fairly new. I don't believe he's dealt with them before.
Because most of them don't show up.
Yeah,
The city is a big problem.
Yeah, like I said, we're just in the beginning stages of working with them and
Okay.
starting over with the information. We did have a site visit to inspect the plant, but that tax rate changed.
okay. California Dairies and? Okay, all right,
So no fixed date then on
Okay.
any of them.
yeah, I'll entertain a motion to accept these as postponed without using the first, the assessor's right of postponement.
I so move that the applications pending for Oscar Mayer and California Dairies and dairy producers be postponed until they're reset.
Second, all those in favor signify.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Barbara, will that take care of that? Perfect. Okay. All right, moving right along. Agenda item number 4, Diablo Contractors, Inc. Do we have anybody from Diablo Contractors, Inc. here? Do we have any update?
We have a stipulation to read.
Oh, a stipulation, okay.
Oh, we have a stip.
They signed it in the wrong spot and they were still checking with me on that and I had to get back to them.
Okay,
I don't have the hard copy for you, but we can read that into the record and give it to the chair.
okay.
Oh, it's right here, I'm sorry.
So, we, okay, yeah. Yep,
Here we go. So it's application numbers 2017-00130 0007, 2017 0008, 2017 0009, and 2017 00010. And for assessment number 800-254-778-000. And these will all be for Diablo Contractors, Inc. Values were reduced per sale information provided. We used their sales price as market for the equipment. The reductions are as follows. 2013, it went down $850,714 in value. 2014, it went down $706,165 in value. 2015, it went down $591,385 in value. And 2016, it went down $735,530 in value. For assessment year 2013, the trade fixtures are $30,953. The personal property is $3,754,113 for a net taxable value of $3,785,066. For assessment year 2014, we have trade fixture value of $30,043. We have personal property of $3,134,057 for a net taxable value of $3,164,100. And then we have assessment year 2015, trade fixture $25,946, personal property $2,517,508 for a net taxable value of $2,543,454. And then the last year, assessment year, $23,670, personal property for a net taxable value of $1,162,530.
Okay. So we have a stipulation that has been read into the record, and I will entertain a motion to approve that those stipulations.
I'll make a motion to accept stipulation. Is read by the assessor.
Second?
Second. We have a first and a second. All those in favor
Aye.
signify aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
One question after we've done that. Where are these people located in Tulare County?
The construction company, a contractor, they did roads. They're no longer here.
Oh, they're no longer here.
Came
Okay.
in.
With equipment, there's no address. With an 800 number, there's no APN that you can pick down.
Well, they had an address when they were here, but I didn't bring it with me.
That's fine.
Back to Nevada, I believe, right? Nevada?
Very good. Thank you.
Great. Agenda item number 5, BP Perella Properties LP. And I know we have a representative here for that. Mr. Friedman, you would come forward, and the county as well, the assessor's office.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning. Be right with you. So first, if we could just have some background information.
Could you hold on just a second?
Sure. Yeah.
I wanted to bring this matter up just so that the applicant and the county is aware. I represented the Roy family. They owned around 25 acres on the northwest corner of Plaza and 198. So again, I am not up to speed on exactly what the zoning is, but I have a long background of knowledge of that area. So if that's not a problem with the applicant, not a problem with the assessor, then I'm fine with it.
Not a problem with us, sir.
Okay, very good, thank you.
So read it in the record, but have a sign for the first picture.
We will. I did not. Will you take a credit card now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Could I, just to keep things moving, can I give her the check? We'll fill it out later. I will, tell me how much and I'll let her put that in. I trust her that she won't take it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for accommodating me on that.
So first, I believe we'll have the clerk swear him in.
Well, we'll read it into the record first.
Okay.
This is Properties LP application number 2017-00077, assessment number 081-020-085-000. Now, Chairman, at this time, I'm going to swear in the applicant and assessors.
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in the matter now pending before the Assessment Appeals Board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please state your
My name's Louis Friedman with Gianelli. My name's Louis Friedman with Gianelli Nielsen, Modesto, California, and I have with me appraiser David Gianomi, who's an MAI member of the American Institute of Appraisers.
Did he get sworn in?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending before the Assessment Appeals Board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record.
David Giomi.
Linda Thelen, Tulare County Assessor's Office.
Steve Wise with the Tulare County Assessor.
And Lee Moore with the Tulare County Assessor's Office.
Well, if we can get a little bit of background information on this case. Mr. Freeman, would you like to state, just give us a little background on the proceeding?
And let me start with a little bit of background about me as to how we got here and how we ended up here today. Thank you for your time. Got a lot to do, and we'll try and be relatively brief. I'm an attorney, and I've worked as a CPA in the past. Ended up in this area when I was recruited by the Gallo Wine family, 1973, to do tax planning for them. I ended up staying 25 years with them. I was the chief financial officer of Gallo Winery when I retired. In those roles, I did a lot of valuation work, both with land and with businesses, and learned the importance of having good, solid appraisals that were totally defensible. Our appraiser on this property is Dave Giomi, who's an MAI. He's got 40 years of experience as an appraiser, and he gets that when I go into a transaction, I'm not looking for a high value or a low value. I'm looking for the right value, one that we can defend and win if we get into battles with the IRS. In that kind of, the IRS leads to the transaction that we're looking at today. The property was owned by the Bruno family. The father passed away. The mother dropped the property into a limited partnership. And then in November of 2015, created irrevocable trust for her two sons and transferred control of the limited partnership, majority ownership, to the trust for her sons. That change of ownership triggered a reassessment of the property, And for that transaction, we needed to get appraisals of both the property and of the limited partnership interest for the IRS. And it was important, very important to me and to our clients, that we get a solid value, one that we could defend if we were called upon to do that. And again, we weren't looking for a high value or a low value, but we were looking for what was the right value. I know that, short of an actual sale, you really don't know exactly what property is worth, and we do depend on appraisers. And in this case, we were fortunate to have a sale of an adjacent parcel within 8.5 months of our transaction. So it's right there as a bona fide third-party transaction, and that transaction took place at about $1.19 a foot. I've got here, Dave, I'm going to need your help. This is, I apologize, these are on paper and not on poster boards, and it's in your binder also.
We are here. This is 198, Highway 99. Can we see that? Yeah, okay. So we're in this area here on Plaza. The subject property is here. This one sale that I use, that's the general plan shows it to be in agriculture, but it's in the urban transition tier 1 boundary for future development in the future. And it sits basically contiguous to our subject. I understand it's being used agriculturally now, but the future, it would be developed to some type of higher use. You want me to continue to say something else about the subject?
Sure.
And we understand the subject property. I think it's important to realize that the subject's 48 plus acres. So it's a big piece. And there was a map filed on the
2003, I think.
2003, before the Brunos bought the property. And then when Matt Bruno Sr. bought the property in 2006 or 7, he continued. But as we stand here today, that tentative map, the word tentative means it's not final, and the property could be divided into 5 or 6 parcels, but it hasn't been done. So there's a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of time it would take to cut this 48-acre parcel into these small parcels, 5 to 10 acres. And so from an appraisal standpoint, I look at it as you got to account for the relationship of time and money. You can't use a sale that doesn't have these problems and apply it to a large piece without saying it's going to take all this effort. And I realize the sale next door is not exactly the same as far as zoning, but it does have problems, and it will take time for it to be annexed, rezoned, and developed. So that was my thought process in looking at the sale next door, as opposed to using sales farther away from the property that didn't really have the problem of getting the map. I don't know how many people on the board try to get maps approved, pay the fees, the time it takes, and plus the relationship of, I can do this, but it's going to take me 6 years to do it. Well, you got to discount that back to present value.
Quick question. Is this adjacent to the 2 dealerships that are there, the BMW and the Chrysler?
Our subject kind of surrounds it.
Surrounds it.
We're behind them.
I understand.
We're behind it. And you got to remember, our piece is big. And who's going to buy 48 acres at one price? In reality, what's going to happen is it's going to be phased. Anybody in the business is going to phase this property out in sections. And that's what the original owner was going to do, is create small parcels, put them on the market. But there's a part of our subject's on the market now, and it's been on the market
It's been on the market forever, yeah.
forever.
But it's currently zoned agriculture.
No, our subject is not.
Okay.
Our subject is not. But even, zoning doesn't create value. Just because if you're in the business, because I got something zoned, if I can't do something with it, and the maps aren't filed, and the parcel map is tentative, I really have nothing until the map's filed, the fees are paid, and all the utilities are
So
there.
what is the current zoning?
I think we're commercial, industrial, and the adjacent parcel that's our comp is ag, but they're both tier 1 for development. And our view is that as soon as there's any development on ours, the adjacent parcel really won't be farmable in today's environment in California with dust and pollution and spraying. So when our property goes, the adjacent parcel is going to go the same time. I'm sure you've all had clients go through that.
I mean, our property's been known to be on the market since before 2015.
This property is currently on the market?
It has.
Part of it is.
Part of it? What's the asking price?
$5.84 plus.
They pay for it.
Nothing's happened.
Yeah, they could ask $10. They'd feel a lot richer if they asked $10.
But we're talking about per
Problem
foot.
with that 584, it's on a 5+ acre parcel, and that parcel map hasn't been approved yet. So if I buy it and I give you $6 a square foot, I gotta get the map approved and pay money and wait. That's,
What will the value increase to? If the division is done, is there gonna be an increase in the value?
if the demand increases,
Pardon?
if demand increases, I mean, drive around out there, we drove around out there today, all this land's for sale. There's so much land there available.
Yeah, what little development has happened is right on Plaza, and the dealerships are set in from Plaza, and then we're behind that. So we're a ways from the path of development yet.
All this land is for sale out in that area?
Yeah,
A lot of land for sale.
there's a lot of for
Land?
sale signs.
What's the average asking price?
I don't know.
I know, it's all over.
Pardon?
Different ranges, different prices.
Different ranges, different prices?
$3, $5, $8, $10, whatever you want to ask. Doesn't mean nothing.
With the background, I appreciate the background information. I think we can hear from the assessor's office now, and then we will
That's fine.
go back to you. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, can we have just a quick second here?
Sure. Yeah.
Never been a case where I've listened to it, but I have so much information.
It's in the binder I gave you.
Case, you don't have a choice. You're gonna have to take it under advisement and look at it. If it's a real simple case, then you can go ahead and declare from the bench.
I don't consider this complicated. This one, I don't consider this real complicated.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, wait a while. We should not be discussing this case here right now.
I apologize for that.
No worries.
We had to get some clarification, some
Sure.
legal clarification here. I guess my question is, at this point, are we still in the back, just in exchange of background information at this point, or are we actually starting to present evidence?
If we need to have some more background information, that's fine, or we can start right into the evidence.
Because they haven't burden of proof, so they need to present their evidence first.
Right.
So,
Right.
Do you want to just kind of an opening statement at this point?
Sure.
Okay. So just background.
Our opening statement actually includes a presentation of evidence. At this point, we do not disagree with Mr. Friedman's background presentation. Much of what he said we're in agreement with. Obviously, we do have some disagreement on some issues, otherwise we wouldn't be here today. But for background's sake only, we really have nothing to add.
All right. So, Mr. Friedman, then you have the burden of proof. So, with the background information you stated, would you like to state the cases as you?
I would. So I've given each of you a binder with some exhibits that were the things we looked at. Get my bearings back. So tab 1 is a copy of the I call it the ultimate use map that we just showed you, showing where our parcel and the adjoining or comparable parcel are, and that they have the same ultimate. They're both tier 1 and the same ultimate use.
Excuse me. Does the assessor's office have a copy of this as well?
Sub 1.
Actually, Mr. Moore is currently reviewing it.
Okay.
Mr. Friedman, may I actually review?
Yes. Yeah, that's sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank
No,
you very much. Pardon the interruption.
I don't think there's anything in the binder that they haven't seen one way or another before.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Actually, tab 5 is a discounted cash flow that we haven't seen, and we have requested on numerous occasions for additional information. We had heard this may come about, but this is the first time we've seen it. And obviously, we wouldn't have time to analyze it here at this point in time. So we're probably going to request a continuance based off Rule 305.1, introduction of new information.
Okay. Barbara, do we have any issue with that?
We'll finish their presentation.
Okay. Excellent. Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know that this is pertinent, but this, I was just telling our chairman, this particular case is about as close to what I do day in and day out. And basically how this piece got annexed to begin with is somebody proposed to put an auto mall in the county on the west side of the 99. That drove the city into bringing this in. And there's 2 dealerships that are there. And in effect, there are issues on value of this. I will just acknowledge that, okay? But basically, this is in Tier 1 and developable. Is that correct?
It is in Tier 1 and it is developable, but to do, it would take considerable improvements in the interior in terms of roads and infrastructure to make it developable.
Yeah, but I just wanted to bring that clear in my own mind with
Yes.
what the status of the property was in 217.
Yeah, our property on the valuation date in 2015 was in Tier 1 and was in the city and was developable, and our comparable is also in Tier 1 for the same development, but it is, on that date, it was zoned agriculture and probably will remain agriculture until there's some real development in the area. But our view is the 2 will go at the same time.
I just wanted to bring both the assessor and the applicant up to speed is that I've got a lot of knowledge on this, but it is not testimony and basically being presented. You need to do that on your own.
Right. Tab 2 is a copy of Mr. Giomi's report, and I've highlighted a few things. I'd like to just call your attention to them quickly. Pages 8 and 9 are the purpose of the appraisal. Page 16 is a succinct summary of the market conditions. Page 18 is the then assessed value, which was, and I've looked at these values in cents per foot of the county's assessment of 92 cents a foot, which had been adjusted by the county down from the purchase price to reflect market conditions at that point. Page 18 is a discussion of the comparable sale, which we have put our primary reliance on because it is adjacent and it's fairly contemporaneous. The sale was 8.5 months earlier, same year. And page 18 has Mr. Giomi's conclusion of value of our parcel, and he came up with $1.20 a foot versus the county's then 92 cents, and the sale of the comparable a few months earlier for $1.19. And the last page has some information on Mr. Giomi's background as an appraiser and as an expert witness, and he is a member of the American Appraisal Institute, which is the MAI. Tab 3 is a copy of the county's reassessment of, tab 3 is the county's assessment immediately before our sale, and it was $1.9 million for the property, or 92 cents a foot. So that was the county's value. And if we'd been looking for a low value, we would have just adopted the county's value and say, hey, the county assessor said that, what could be wrong with that number? And we would have told the IRS it was 92 cents a foot. And like I said before, we try and get it right, not try and get a particular tax result. Yes, sir.
Quick question. There's a road that basically comes in from, I think that's Crawley, to the west, and then curves and goes in back of the two dealerships. Paved road. I think it's got curb and gutter. Is that correct?
I don't know, sir.
Is the water and sewer in that road?
I don't know.
That's something I'd like to know.
I'm going to correct myself on the request under 305.1. If they have done formal requests for exchange of information, which they're saying they have, and they ask for that information, then the board is entitled to either give the party that requested it and get a continuance, or to tell the party that didn't produce it that they can't use that at the hearing.
We're willing to withdraw that.
So the part that's behind tab 5?
Okay.
Correct.
I think what I'm asking is just to bring me current on what the status of the property is.
I can safely tell you, I had never seen the property before this morning, and I'm not involved in it enough to know the details about where the infrastructure is. I know that they have been told that they need to invest, I think, about $2 million in infrastructure before they can really be selling something.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've been told that there's some engineering behind that $2 million number. That's a real number that they're debating whether or not they want to ever make that investment or just try and sell it as is.
The assessor's office would object on the basis of hearsay, for the record.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Tab 4 has the notice from the county for reassessing the property after the sale. So they went from $1.9 million in value to $4.8 million overnight. And tab 6 shows our
I
understanding.
don't have a tab 6.
Okay. Okay, there should be behind tab 5 then, and I apologize, I've got,
Green sheet.
there should be a map right behind that.
There is a map.
Okay. No, it should have been a divider. Is there a map similar to this? Yes. So that is, yes, thank you. I should have checked all this more carefully last night. There was also a spelling in my error in my cover letter to you, which got a little pen and ink on the way down. Tab 6 is my understanding of where the county's comparables are in relation to our property, and I'll simply make the note that in terms of comparables, you can stand on our comparable property with 1 foot and on our property with the other foot, and you'll see the county's comparables are some distance away, reflecting a variety of different conditions. And Dave, do you have anything to add to the?
No, other than what I discussed earlier about the, I'm hung up on the fact that we have such a large parcel, and to be able to sell it to an investor or a developer, you have to get the map approved, you have to file it, you gotta pay the money, you gotta get the water and sewer there, and all that takes time and money and effort. Unless you have comparables exactly the same way, they're not comparables. And unfortunately, this job, it's difficult to find comparables, and the reason why, there's no market. And that's kind of why the assessor dropped the value originally from over $2 to 92 cents, and went back up to $2.30. So that's all I need to say.
Okay.
Any questions from the board?
Any questions, Glenn? Or
Some of these are maybe a little premature. The assessor, because I would ask this question if the assessor has presented their case or not. But in effect, how much you have to spend to be able to cut these parcels up into these portions I'm not disputing that. That's probably a fairly somewhat accurate statement. But is this parcel obligated for auto dealerships and or repair shops?
No, sir. My understanding is not that it could be used for other commercial or industrial uses.
Right. So in other words, I'm just asking the question. There's a hotel that's recently built, motel, on the, I think it's Crawley and Plaza.
Plaza.
Right.
It's under construction now, I believe.
So I'm asking the question under the circumstances, and I don't know. You're presenting some information I don't have. Can you build a hotel on your property?
I don't know enough about the zoning to be able to answer that.
If you submitted a plan development, you know, and see what the planners would say, there's always a chance. But you don't know that until you submit a plan.
I understand. But in effect, it's annexed and zoned, and probably some of the infrastructure has been put in, but not enough to cut it up into these pieces.
The infrastructure, my understanding is none of the infrastructure is on our property, and to do the subdivision and be able to sell it, they have to bring the infrastructure into our property.
That answers my question, but I would really like to know how much of it is in and not in.
Yeah.
That's
my understanding is none of it is in our property. It's all would have to be brought in.
Okay.
Okay. With that, we will turn the time over to the assessor's office.
Before we begin our presentation, Linda noticed, and we would just like to point out that in the appraisal performed by Mr. Giomi, it states on page 13, when describing the property, that all utilities are available to the property and it is ready for development. Services include water, sewer, telephone, natural gas, fire, and police protection.
Of course, their utilities.
Just so we're clear on this, have you been sworn in?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yes. The utilities are at those other sites that were developed at other car dealerships. The BMW and Chrysler.
But the access road is directly to the west of the dealerships, is
Yeah,
that
but
correct?
all those utilities would have to be extended and put to the subject property. Yeah,
But
they're
is
there.
Are
They're
the
available.
utilities and sewer and water in that street?
I would have to assume they're close by because of the BMW and the Jeep dealership. But in saying that, those people paid for that to be extended to those properties, and so to put it on our subject, you'd have to pay to get it on our subject property,
I understand.
even though the utilities are there. Okay.
That figure was $2 million.
For the first phase, they have not priced the whole thing out, but for the first phase, they would need to do $2 million.
Complete the sewer system and the water system.
Right, and they were looking, and again, I'm not involved in the development side, but they were going to try and phase their development cost and put it in piecemeal so that they didn't have to spring for all the money up front if they decided to go ahead with it. So the first phase, they have had preliminary engineering, and they've given me the number of $2 million.
That is hearsay, though. So, yeah.
But if that were the case, you're talking about 50 cents a foot to bring the rest of the improvements in. And in effect, that would take the value or the value up to $1.50, let's say, or $1.40 a foot, right?
If
that
were
were
in,
the
yes.
case. Okay.
Is that to each individual on the parcel map, or is it to just the corner of the property?
I'm sorry, could you?
Parcel map that you have with the county?
Yes, sir.
Parcels, or are we just to the corner of the property?
It's just to the perimeter at
Just
one.
to the corner of the property.
Yes, sir.
What's the status on your map?
I don't know as of right this moment.
Haven't contacted the county, Tulare, what is?
My understanding is there was
Annexed
a.
into the city.
Huh?
It's the city of Visalia's control.
City, I'm sorry, city.
My understanding is that there was a tentative map filed in 2003, but it's never been finalized, and that there are proposals that might be somewhat different than that now 15-year-old tentative map, but nothing has moved. They haven't made the investments and fees and so on to try and move anything forward.
Okay, we'll turn the time over to the assessor's office.
Are you finished, sir?
I'd be available if there's questions.
Right.
Good morning. My name is Linda Thullen, and I will be testifying as to the records of the assessor. The applicant is appealing a 2016 base year value established by the assessor after the State Board of Equalization's legal entity ownership program determined that a change of ownership occurred on November 14th, 2015. There was no sale price for this transfer. The parcel is zoned service commercial. After reviewing sales of similar properties occurring within a legally permissible time period relative to that event date, the assessor determined that the market value to be $4,790,000, or $2.30 per square foot Please see the enclosed comparative sales analysis worksheet at tab CMA in your packet. This value is based on comparable sales of commercially zoned parcels that, similar to the subject, enjoy good visibility or easy access to Highway 198 and or Freeway 99. Overhead photos of these parcels can be found in pages 4 to 7 in your packet. Comparable number 1 is a 12.14 acre multi-parcel sale of vacant land located southeast of Lovers Lane and Noble Avenue in Visalia. These parcels sold on July 17th, 2014 for $1,800,000 or $3.40 per square foot. The zoning at the time was CSO or service commercial and is now CMU or mixed use commercial. Comparable number 2 is located in Tulare, southeast of Freeway 99 and Cartmill Avenue. The parcel is 21.97 acres and sold on April 9th, 2014 for $2,133,000 or $2.23 per square foot. It is zoned C3 retail commercial. Comparable number 3 is a 2-parcel sale located at the intersection of North Kelsey Street and Hillsdale Court in Visalia, just over a half mile from our subject. The 2 parcels total 3.2 acres and sold on March 18th, 2015 for $400,000 or $2.87 per square foot. The zoning is service commercial. Comparable number 4 is 4.73 acres parcel located in the Visalia Industrial Park on Sunnyview Avenue, north of Goshen Avenue and west of Shirk Street, just over 2 miles from our subject. This parcel sold on July 24th, 2014 for $475,000 or $2.31 per square foot. It is also zoned service commercial. The subject parcel includes most of the undeveloped portion of the Visalia Auto Plaza. An overhead photo can be found on page 3 in your packet. At the time of the 2015 transfer, the entire parcel was subject to the Visalia Auto Plaza architectural design guidelines and standards as determined by the City of Visalia, which limit use of the site to new car sales. In 2017, the Visalia City Council granted a request from the applicant to remove that restriction on 15 acres north of the Hurley alignment to allow for development of a distribution warehouse facility. The assessor considered the restrictions of the Auto Plaza designation when it established a base year value at the low end of the indicated market range, acknowledging the effect of the limitation and potential holding time. Though outside of the allowable date range for the event under appeal, it should be noted that the only other undeveloped auto mall parcel, 5 acres located at the northwest corner of Neely Street and Camp Drive, recently sold for nearly twice as much as the value being contested today, and it is being listed for twice as much as its sale price. Included in your packet are the most recent marketing brochures for the subject property. The asking price for the entire 47.9 acres is $4 per square foot. The 15-acre portion north of the Hurley alignment, now designated for warehouse distribution use, is listed for $3.95 per square foot. A tentative parcel map has been filed to segregate this parcel. It is our contention that the first sale used in the applicant's appraisal, though contiguous to the subject, is not comparable to the subject property due to its agricultural zoning. Sales of commercially zoned vacant land more accurately reflect the highest and best use of the subject parcel.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
No, I have none right now.
I have none as we currently have heard the evidence.
Mr. Freeman, would you like to respond?
I think it's important to note that many of the comparables that the assessor's office have relied upon are smaller parcels and already immediately adjacent to the essential services for development, and that our property was considerably different in that it needed to be developed before it could be compared with those parcels. And the other thing I want to just reiterate is they've made a big deal out of our comparable was zoned agriculture at the date of valuation, and our property was zoned commercial industrial, but they're adjacent and they're both tier 1 for development, and our view is that those will be developed together, and that the agricultural zoning at that date 3 years ago was not really a deterrent to value. And you all know this local market. I was out there this morning for the first time. There's a lot of for sale signs. The only development is really right on Plaza. We're not on Plaza. We're not even where the dealerships are. We're like behind the dealerships. So we're out there a ways. And our, clients would love to, not that they don't love Visalia, but they'd love to have this property sold and be doing something else with their money, but there's no buyers out there for them.
I'm trying to. The property that's sold, George, is,
Yeah, well, I know exactly.
is it this one?
Hang on a second. This is stuff. That's a good question.
To the west of your parcel, there's a parcel in here that's all green. As far as I know, that's still unannexed in the county ag land. Is that the one you're referring to as being sold? Directly to the west?
I believe it's directly to the west, but it is closer to the road. It fronts on, it looks like it's
Camp Drive?
Camp Drive, yes.
And what did that sell for again?
$1.19 a foot.
$1.19 a foot.
Yes, sir.
And that is in the county, unzoned.
It's ag zone, yes.
$1.19 a foot for ag property.
Right. And they're both tier 1 for the city's ultimate development plan.
Mr. Zunian, are you referring to the green parcel that is?
No, the one to the south. He's saying the one on Camp Drive.
Yes, the one on Camp Drive, yes, is the comparable number 1 from thereabouts.
Yes, right.
And
Is
its
it-
size, again, is 15
It is
acres?
in the city. If you look at our subject photo, you can see both parcels.
If I'm-
Hey, can I interject something? In one of these packets, my original sale and location of that comparable's in it. Oh, here it is.
The page,
My actual data on that sale.
Go ahead.
And, the deed and the account statement and the map. Maybe it might be easier if you look again.
Well, we have a copy of yours.
For the record, if we can get a page number,
page, yeah, is there a page number?
Right. What tab and what page number?
No, it's not in that. It's in my appraisal file.
Okay.
That's not permissible. It's-
It's my sale. It's my backup data for my sale.
No, I understand.
If you look at
Yeah, I'm just looking at this.
Mr. Giome's report on
Map right
page
here.
13, then you turn the page, there's an aerial photograph that shows the subject parcel and the comparable number 1 is to the immediate west of that.
There's a small shop, or I don't know how small it is, but it's like a building in the little upper.
That is the
Right-hand corner.
SPCA
Look at
building,
page
yeah.
3 of our packet.
Right. It's this
So it's
piece
the
right there.
subject- It's the parcel right next door to the blue.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
If you'll notice, there's a road from that house, or that, it was a house, it's
That's
a shop.
That's a steel building.
Yes, in effect, that road goes all the way down to Camp Drive, right through the middle of the parcel. So that's the one we're talking about, correct?
That's the comparable. Yes, sir.
There is, okay, so this is the applicant's parcel. This is a little ponding basin right here,
The little one right next door.
right next door. The blue on ours indicates his parcel is actually also that square at the bottom. It's part of his parcel.
Correct.
This is a ponding basin, and this is his comparable right
On
here.
the west side of whatever that road is.
Right.
Clarification, on the aerial photograph behind your page 13, where you have it outlined in red and you have two subjects, they don't appear to be contiguous, and that's what gives the confusion as to what the parcel is.
Yeah, well, that one subject property is separate, it's a separate map, and that's a piece they're trying to sell.
I believe that they are, they all comes together.
But you've termed it as part of the subject.
Yes.
Yes,
Not a separate APN?
yes.
No,
Well, it's a separate APN, but it's part of the subject
it's
property.
not a separate APN. There's one APN for the whole,
APN is according to all the
Yes.
reports that I've seen.
yes, one APN.
So it is two separate parcels that you've listed on that aerial photograph that shows two subjects, yet we only have one subject, so that smaller subject is not part of this, is that right?
The smaller subject is part of it. It is all one property. It's one APN, it's one property. That reflects the tentative map that was prepared in 2003, but it's all one parcel at this point. It's not been separated.
They are contiguous.
Yes, sir.
Even on that area, if you look to the left, which would be west, you'll see a little steel building, and that's a sale.
That's the SPC.
That's your
That's my comp I
Yeah.
relied upon.
Yeah, it's still building as the SPCA, just to put it for frame of reference for people who know where that is.
It wasn't vacant at the time of the sale. The building's been there since 1991. So, the comparable parcel, it wasn't vacant land at the time of the sale. It has that steel building there that the Valley Oak SPCA currently leases.
Any other comments?
If I could just wrap up, and thank you for your time. I want to drive home that our valuation was not driven by property taxes. Our valuation was driven by a business and income tax transaction where the accurate value of the property was hugely important, and it was done for that purpose. We feel strongly that it's in line with what the market was based on the sale of the adjoining parcel, and is actually generous to the county compared to the 92 cents a foot that the county had it at before the reassessment. And reiterate, we could have put in 92 cents if we were looking for a low value, and pointed to the assessor as our reason. I would like to ask the board, I know you normally would withhold discussion until later, but I would like to ask that you take this under consideration right now, and if you have any questions, that we try and answer them while you're here, and see if we could bring this to conclusion today. Thank you.
I assume that was a summation.
Yes, sir.
And would the assessor like a summation?
Not a summation at this time. There's just a few points that the assessor would like to make, just to address some of the appellant's points. It has continued to be brought up that the assessed value in 2015 at the time of the transfer was 92 cents per square foot, and that is correct. I wanted to make the board aware that that value was born out of an assessment appeal from the 2011 tax year. We can all agree that that was probably the lowest point in the market. A lack of data at that time, because nothing was selling, really prevented the assessor from performing really fair reviews of the property value in order to justify an increase in the market between 2011 and 2015. at the time that the assessor was forced to determine a base year value in order to, for the 2015 transfer, the assessor did, of course, consider the sale of the property immediately contiguous, but for the reasons that it has completely different physical attributes. It is an improved property, aside from the fact that it is also zoned very differently from commercially zoned properties. We felt it was more appropriate to look in competing markets within Tulare County in order to estimate what a fair market value would be for commercially zoned properties, for which you have so many more permissible uses. I would certainly in some part agree with Mr. Giomi's comment that if you don't have comps exactly the same way, they're not comparables. Unfortunately, neither of us has a sale that has this Visalia Auto Plaza restriction applied to it. So we must reach outside of that comfort zone, so to speak, to try to find competing sales. We feel that we've done that. We've provided 4 sales of parcels that are commercially zoned, all vacant land. None of them had maps on them at the times of the sales. And even to this day, none have been fully developed. Only the parcel at Lovers Lane and Noble has been partially developed with a gas station and mini mart. So all of the motivations of those purchasers were similar to the appellants in that they were buying property for holding purposes, and our position is that the sales prices at about $2.30 a square foot certainly reflect that.
Question.
Yep.
There's a Chevron gas station that's built on the northeast corner of Plaza and Crawley. You have any idea? Now, that is a developed piece. You have any idea what that piece sold for? Or the new, I think it's an ARCO station on the southwest corner, the same intersection.
I don't have that information at this time. If the board,
But my recollection is $20 a foot. Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that the ARCO that is on the southwest corner is $20 a foot. Now, they had to bring in the water. The reason that ponding basin is where it is because when they developed that, it was, I think, a Mangano presentation for a specific plan. They basically ponded half the water in that pond for that whole region, and the other half had to be ponded on site. Now, I'm talking about a 25-acre parcel. So we have a real mixture of values. I'm bringing this up because, in effect, if anybody wants to wind up adding to the information in addition to what I have on that specific area, okay, now's the time to do it. But it's a real widespread, and I think the applicant is absolutely correct. It's going to cost at least 50 cents to $1 to bring the infrastructure into those pieces that they divide up. However, annexation has to do with LAFCO and CEQA. And then the city's specific plan is a layer on top of that, if they have a specific plan or whatever they're going to do. So the point I'm making is that a lot of that expensive entitlement has already been done. Now the question is that, and the applicant is bringing this up, and please repute anything that I'm bringing up. The values are pretty widespread, depending on if there are any takers. But you're talking about ag ground selling for $1.15 a foot next door. Is that correct? $1.19. That's unheard of. Somebody's really investing in that piece based upon annexation and zoning. Ag land is probably at the most 50 cents a foot, 75 cents a foot for ag land, good ag land, water and good soil. So that's the dilemma, and I'm bringing that up because that's what's going through my mind on valuation. And in effect, if the applicant or the county wants to chime in with anything else that would give us some additional opinion of value or evidence, now's the time to do it.
Linda actually had a conversation with the gentleman who purchased that property, and there's just some information that I'd like to testify to regarding her conversation.
I just had a brief conversation with Mr. Martella, who bought the parcel next door where the SPCA is now located. He did say he bought it for storage, first off, then for possible future development. He considered putting trees in at one point, but is probably going to hold off on that. So he's keeping all of his options open at this point. He doesn't have an immediate plan, but it was a buy and hold type of situation.
I also contacted the former executive director of the Valley Oak SPCA and found out that their lease with the Martellas was 3 years starting in 2017.
Yes.
I'm still not clear on what is this comp, is this parcel to the rest of the pond system? And what is it currently zoned?
Agriculture.
So it's not zoned commercial? It's not. And is it in the city limits? It is within the city limits. Okay.
Oh, it is annexed? Oh, isn't that interesting?
And so their big thing is that if you look behind tab 1, would you agree that it is within the urban development boundaries of tier 1? Okay. But it's that different zone.
Any further questions or comments?
I have one. Sir, would you be willing to sell this property at his appraised value?
So this appraisal was in 2015. I would say I'm not authorized to speak for the.
If you had an offer at his value, based upon his value, would you willing to sell the property?
Are we talking about today or 15?
Right now.
Well, that's a different assignment.
217 is when the
We're dealing
application.
with 215.
215.
215, we're not talking about 218. It's just complete different assignment, different research.
November 20th.
Yeah, so can't answer that question.
Any further discussion or comment?
The assessor would just like to make a summary statement. The required standard of evidence for assessment appeals hearings is preponderance of evidence. Which body of evidence presented today is more probable than not? It's the assessor's position that vacant land sales from competing areas which possess similar zoning offer the best reflection of fair market value.
Rebuttal?
Well, from an appraisal standpoint, zoning does not create value. Use does. So if I can go in and change use or the general plan, that's what creates value. When I can do it, what I can do with it. So I've been doing this forever, and yeah, zoning is a starting point. But if I can get the zoning changed to another use, I can build something on there. That's how you determine the property highest and best use on the 4 tests of highest and best use. So you have to look at what can I do with the property. And that's when I looked at that sale. Yeah, it's ag. They're farming it, but who's going to pay over $60,000 for farmland? Put trees on it. It's not going to happen. The buyers thought they were going to develop this property at some point.
But the argument that was made by the assessor that the conversation they had with the property owner is he was willing to pay for a future value of development.
Yeah, that's why it's a good call.
Okay? So in effect, the question is, if that's the value of that parcel, his is zoned ag and yours is zoned commercial. They're both annexed in, okay? And you have the issue of improvements on both pieces, right? So why shouldn't we look at that piece as being a good comp for this value?
Because we both have issues to accomplish.
We believe it's a,
well,
if you will, perfect comp. They both have the need to be developed. We readily agree that it's currently zoned ag, but they're both within the city, so they've already gone through the whole LAFCO process, and they're both in Tier
Correct.
1 for development, so they're going to develop at essentially the same time.
I represent homeowners, builders, looking for developable property on the edge of town. Needs to be annexed in, zoned, and the entitlements need to be given from the city, okay? In most cases, that value is about $90,000 an acre, correct, currently, right now. So if you go back 3 years, I had a transaction that was in the situation where it was unannexed, unzoned, and it went for $53,000 an acre 2 or 3 years ago. So are you suggesting, and this is a valid question, that the commercial zone has less of a value than a residential? Okay, that's I'm just asking.
It's demand. In our area, it's the other way because we have influx of East Bay commuters. But in certain communities, that's why I make that statement. Zoning, just because it's got a commercial zone, it's worth more than residential. It may or may not be.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
You got to go through the 4 tests of highest and best use. Each test.
Yeah, and I don't know your market, but most of the communities I'm seeing in the valley, residential building has continued while commercial building has been relatively slow. And when we drove around that area today, there's a whole lot of land, a lot of for sale signs. There's been some development, but very little, and all of it is right by Plaza. And assuming that it's going to take time to move west, there's going to be considerable holding cost in addition to the development cost with our parcel.
Thank you, Jim.
Any further comments?
The assessor would just like to rebut that relying on one sale can certainly allow for some very good questions with respect to the value conclusion. The assessor has submitted 4 sales of vacant land without tentative parcel maps attached to them that all share the same commercial zoning as the subject property.
Yeah, smaller.
But got to keep in mind the subject property is what, 47 plus acres. 47 acres. Not 5 or 15 or 10.
Most of your, there were some larger ones.
There were 2 large acreage parcels included in the sales of the.
Okay.
I have a very minor question. I don't know the Brunos, but the family, but are they still, one passed away, one's alive, or are they both passed?
The father passed away, the mother's alive, and at this point, the sons own the majority of the partnership that owns the property. Yeah.
Okay. So the entire parcel was put into the trust
It was put into the parents' trust.
prior to the first death?
It was in the joint trust prior to the first death. It was in the survivor's trust after the first death. She dropped it into the LP and then transferred the LP interest to the sons.
Any other discussions or comments? I would be interested to hear from the board what their, which direction they would like to go. We have a request for a decision. I would have a tendency to want to take it under advisement, but I leave it up to you.
I agree.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Thank you.
Something real quick, just a point of clarification, that Appendix 5.
It's not part of the,
particular,
yes.
that it will
It's
be pulled.
Correct. Yep. Not be part of the process. So, with that, I understand your request that you would like to have a decision be made, but at this point, I've heard from the board, and I would as well like to take this under advisement.
Thank you for your consideration.
Do we need a?
If you want to, you would have time to deliberate this morning.
Yes.
It's a question of whether you want to keep the materials home and study them, or if you want to go ahead and deliberate now. That will determine whether you ask the parties to stay in case you have any questions.
Do you feel we need
I
to?
have the time, and I would like to take it under advisement in closed session today.
Okay. Do you have a need for the
Would you like the
parties to stay?
in case you have questions?
That's a very interesting question. We've never had participation in closed session before.
Well, no, just if you would come out of closed session if you had a question you wanted them to answer, or if you feel like you've got enough information from them, then they can just.
I'd like to take it into closed session, and from that point, we may deliberate today. And in fact, at that point, if there's additional questions, both the assessor and the applicant being here would be a plus.
So we will ask the parties to.
We,
You go back into the closed session room
Okay.
here at the board if you want, and they can stay here. Or
Okay.
you could ask them to leave this room and you can deliberate it here.
Okay?
We can go in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
For right now, do we want to go ahead and take care of the other items and then before we go into deliberations?
Yes, I think that would be appropriate to take care of those things. So before we go, do I need an approval to go into, take it under advisement? Just, that's,
No, we'll just need it submitted.
okay, all right.
We don't have to do a formal vote.
Okay, all right. So moving forward, we have agenda item number 6 as 6 is withdrawn, number 7 as postponed, and number 8 as postponed. I'd entertain a motion to accept item number 6 as withdrawn at this point.
I'll make a motion that item number 6, APN number 246120021 has been withdrawn.
Second?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And postponement. We have agenda items number 7 and 8 as postponed. I would entertain a motion to accept those as postponed to a later date.
I'll make a motion. Item number 7, item number 8, Store Capital, APN number 251130041, and APN number 166030053 have been postponed.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 9. Any information on that? We don't have anybody representing Turnaround Artists, which they were a non-confirmed attendance person, so I would entertain a motion to accept them as denied for non-appearance.
I'd like to make a motion to deny agenda item number 9 for non-appearance.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. And then the withdrawal calendar. I would entertain a motion to accept the withdrawal calendar as stated.
I'll make a motion to accept the withdrawal as stated.
And a second.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries as well.
One additional comment on the traffic that was
Okay.
Yes.
For the annual meeting, right. Okay. With that, we will, close our regular meeting, go to closed session, and report back on the closed session.